What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down how wide receivers can beat a physical press coverage DB who will just lunge at you right off the line of scrimmage like this example right here in front of us. So I hope this video helps you guys out. Hope it can teach you a few new things to help you get off of that physical press. But also, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you're looking for a daily training schedule that you can do this offseason in the gym and on the field to improve your skills at the wide receiver position, check out that very first link below for our ultimate 8-week wide receiver workout plan. It's an 8-week daily gym and field training schedule will give you all of the sets and reps completely broken down for you with examples of each exercise. So check out that very first link below if you're interested in that, fellas. Let's get started. So now this first example here is what everybody's afraid of. DB right up on the line, jams us off the line, pushes us all the way to the sideline, and the play is broken up. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now. This is not the most realistic thing that you will see in a live game scenario, because here's why. Number one, DB doesn't know if it's a run or a pass, right? So let's say, for example, it's a run and he's coming down and he's in man coverage. And let's say he just lunges right off the line and gets hands on us, but we ran like a toss to the left to my running back. That running back is going to take that thing straight up the sideline and go score, because this DB would rather try being a hero than actually try to play the technique and play the technique correctly, right? So in a camp setting, obviously you're doing one-on-ones, you're doing 7-on-7, the DB knows it's going to be a pass. So 50% of the plays that could hurt him are already completely eliminated. He can take himself out of the play by doing this. So that's number one. Now, number two, when a DB does do this, fellas, another thing is we could go on two. We could use a hard count. So these are not the most realistic things. Everybody loves to see these kinds of clips on social media. They always promote, looking at this video I saw was on Twitter. The caption was, "This is press coverage. This is how you're physical." This is not how you're physical. If you play DB, this is not what you should be doing, because this is not realistic. What if we would have gone here and on the snap count, we would have gone on two? He's lunging at this wide receiver before the wide receiver even moves. What if the quarterback doesn't snap the ball? That's a 5-yard penalty, and I guarantee you that DB is never going to do that again. So we have to understand, fellas, that this is not realistic. Do not put a lot of emphasis on this specific type of play where that DB lunges at you right off the line and forces you to that sideline. Now, the physical press that you will see, right? And so and obviously with that, you want to have a plan for it, because, in a camp setting, nobody wants to be this wide receiver right now who got just completely worked. I'm going to show you guys a more realistic example of press here in a second, but we obviously got to talk about the plan that you need to have. So this is going to be the more realistic press that you'll see, and we'll get to this. But obviously, fellas, when that stuff happens, when that guy just lunges at you right off the line, you got to have a plan. And your plan should be to either, okay, if it's one-on-ones, right? Let's say it's one-on-ones and this DB's right up on the line, like in this specific example. One-on-one's not real, right? There's nobody on the ball. It's one receiver out there. So if he's right up on the line of scrimmage, why don't you step off the ball? He cannot pass that line of scrimmage. So if you step off the ball and act like a slot or act like an outside wide receiver who's off the ball, you just created about a yard of extra space for yourself for you to be able to operate, give him a move, and create some space. We had a camp in Utah, and there was this linebacker safety type guy. I don't know if any of you were there, but he was jamming everybody, right? Just shoving them to the ground. And so I tell the receivers, hey, just step off the ball. Give yourself some space so we can actually operate. And as soon as they stepped off the ball, that guy's not athletic enough to cover us when we are in space. So, fellas, you have to have a plan, and that should be your plan. If you got a guy who's just punking everybody off the line, just step off the ball. Create some space for yourself. If he wants to come at you, he's got to cross that line, and we should already be gone. Okay, now that we have addressed that, this is the more realistic press example you'll see. So this is kind of a more patient DB who we have space off the line, and this wide receiver got jammed and flat out embarrassed because he did not have a plan. When you're going up against any type of DB, you need to have a plan off the line, and you need to know how to keep things simple. We're going to be showing a positive example or a good example of Jamar Chase doing this in a second here, but let's break this down first. So got a guy, DB's lined up inside shade, right? We have a couple yards of space. I believe he is running a slant route or some kind of inside breaking route where he's taking an inside release is what he's trying to do. Obviously, if he's inside shade and it's a route like a dig or a post, he shouldn't be taking the inside release anyways, but if it's a slant, you have to. So what he does here is we got inside shade. He just takes off and runs to the outside. There's really no plan of action. He's not trying to attack his leverage. He doesn't have a plan. This, and again, this comes down to everything that we talk about on this channel. You guys hear me harp on this over and over and over again. You need to have a plan. You need to understand this DB's leverage and how to attack it. So if he's inside shade like this, I can't just try to run around him because he's just going to get hands and he's going to jam me. We have to have a plan. So what I would tell this wide receiver to do here if I was coaching up receivers is I would say, hey, okay, he's inside shade. Maybe we want to attack him a little bit and then try to work to the outside. But we got to try to threaten his leverage. We have to force a reaction out of him. But if you pretty much just try to run into him and your game plan is just to, I'm going to swat his hands and just run around him, that's not going to work against a more patient type press DB and a physical press DB. This is press coverage, not that last example. When everybody talks about physical DBs, they're always referring to the last example. That is not realistic. When do you ever see an NFL DB do that? You don't. You see NFL DBs do this type of technique right here where they're staying in their base, they're shooting their hands if they're doing a two-handed jam like this. But it comes down to wide receivers having a plan. Know that if you attack his leverage, that might threaten him. And then maybe we work back to the outside, he might overcommit. But we have to threaten him. We have to be on the offensive. We can't be thinking, I hope he doesn't hit me or I'm going to try to avoid the hands because we will get jammed every single time. So when you guys come out, I'm going to play this full speed. Now we're going to look at this clip from Jamar Chase. So Jamar Chase is probably one of the best, and he's like notorious for maybe not having the best, at least in my opinion, like the best release package off the line. Like he gets separation, which, I think is a lot having to do to his high football IQ, but he doesn't do the most complex stuff. Like he doesn't have a release package like Justin Jefferson or Devontae Adams where he's doing all these elaborate things, and not even so much elaborate, but like efficient things, put it that way. But he is very good at understanding how the little things can work. So watch what he does here. He's running a drag and he's got like inside shade, like catch technique. So this is a tough coverage for a lot of people because a lot of people think, well, if he's inside shade, but I got to run a drag, maybe I've heard, myself say it, you don't want to force a release. If he's inside shade, you should take an outside release, whatever. But if it's a drag, you got to go right now. You got to understand, fellas, that when a DB is trying to jam you, he's trying to do one of two things. He's trying to screw up timing, and he's trying to pretty much throw you out, like reroute you. And if we can keep timing with my QB, I got off the jam. I did my job. But it's about knowing what hand we have to beat. So let's play this full speed. So Chase does this drag, but look, he's constantly fighting the inside hand. He's not worried about the outside hand because he knows that that is the hand that he has to beat. So if you want to take an inside release here, which hand, if this DB is going to shoot with two, which hand do you have to beat? Have to beat his inside hand. That's it. So what if he gets hands on you with his left? So what if he pops you in your right shoulder? If you have a good pad level, if you have a strong base, and you're moving forward, not standing up, it should not matter. We have to fight the inside hand based on if I'm taking an inside release. And if you wanted to take an outside release, it'd be the outside hand. It's pretty simple, fellas. You have to beat the hand to the side that you are going to. So that's what Chase does here. You see how he's trying to fight the hand, fight the inside hand, fight the inside hand, swat his wrist, get him off. Because so what if he gets hands with the left? We beat the inside hand and we got the inside release. Now I got him by maybe a step, maybe not, but at least I'm off the jam. And at least I kept timing with my QB. The whole purpose of the jam is to screw up timing. And if we don't let him screw up timing by having a plan, we can win a lot of routes, fellas. That's a great example there from Jamar Chase fighting the inside hand. Now, when we do fight the hands, it is very important that we understand where to fight the hands. So it all comes down to the points of control. The points of control on a DB are the 3 points that I feel are going to get you the best luck, I would say, or the best results with swatting. So that would be his wrist, that would be his elbow, that would be the back of his shoulder. Those are the 3 spots that I would try to shoot for. If you try to swat his hands itself, he could just put his hands right back on you. That's not a point of control. But a point of control would be the wrist, the elbow, and the shoulder. If you guys can swat there consistently, you see how Jamar Chase pretty much grabbing the wrist, that can get us space. And fellas, you can be physical too. That's what a lot of wide receivers don't understand. Like they think that they, can't really be physical. I don't want to get called for offensive pass interference, whatever it might be. You can be physical. You want to keep a good pad level. You want to keep a good base. You want to be just constantly moving forward. And if you can do that and that DB gets hands, but we know what to do, we shouldn't get completely jammed off this thing. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Then we're going to show a great hand technique drill that wide receivers can do to beat that physical press DB. So this is a driller from Gabriel Davis, and this is just a pretty basic hand swat drill. Now, the reason why I wanted to include this is not necessarily like trying to break down the drill because it's pretty simple. It's a pretty simple drill. Coach shoots a hand, we just swat the hands. But I want you to see that he is not doing anything like overly complex with his hands. I'm sure everybody's seen like the old school, if you're all wide receivers, the old school videos on YouTube of like it's damn near black and white screen, but it's, guys talking about hand techniques or talking about press coverage moves. It's simple, fellas. You got to understand that your feet set up the hands. If you just know which hand to beat, like if I got a physical DB who wants to jam, but let's say I want to take an outside release, I got to beat his outside hand. So what if he gets hands on me with the right? If I'm at a good pad level, if I set him up with my feet, I could get separation on this thing. So they're just working a simple drill. You see how he's shooting a hand, swat, rip over the top. It's just simple. And fellas, a lot of it's just repetition, just getting used to the habits of swatting a DB's hands, developing that instinct, and keeping it simple. Like, let's say, for example, like this DB, like the situation where he's shooting his hand right here. Like, let's say he's lined up like head up press, and maybe we gave him a release outside, but I want to take the inside release. This is the exact hand technique I would work. I set him up outside with my feet. If he's jamming with both hands, fine. I just got to beat the inside hand. Even if he recovers with his left hand and gets it on my shoulders, I still got the inside release and I'm still off the press. Your separation happens at the top of the break rather than off the line with your feet and off the line with your hands. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Davis working this drill to swat the hands and attack the points of control of that DB. All right, fellas, really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys, and I'll see you guys next time.